A hush money cover-up conspiracy, or just pieces of paper Donald Trump had nothing to do with? Those are the two choices lawyers put before the jurors in the New York City criminal trial of the former President Donald Trump. Opening statements were Monday in the first ever criminal prosecution of a former president. Trump, the likely Republican nominee for president, is accused of falsifying business records as part of an alleged scheme to cover up payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels right before the 2016 election, to silence her story of an alleged affair with Trump. The former publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, was the first witness called to the stand. Prosecutors call him one member of a three-man plot who they are relying on to tell the story of this alleged conspiracy, sharing his conversations with Trump and Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, about burying stories that could have hurt Trump's reputation. Trump's campaign is taking a hit from his legal troubles, and it's not just because he is required to be stuck in court instead of on the trail. Federal Election Commission filings over the weekend show Trump's Save America super PAC spent roughly $3.7 million in legal fees in March alone. CBS News campaign reporter and attorney Katrina Kaufman joins me now from outside the courthouse in downtown Manhattan, where jurors brought a first day of school attention to their tasks. So what stuck out to you about what was happening in the courtroom? I mean, this is the first day of actual trial going on. The jurors, the judge, what struck you?
As you were just saying, the jurors really sat at rapt attention during all of this, and they were paying attention to whoever was speaking, not so much to Trump, which we've seen in other cases. They were watching the defense attorney, the prosecution, the witness on the stand. And at one point, actually, as David Pecker had just started testifying, the judge realized that none of them had writing materials, and he paused to say, does anyone want a pad and paper? And all of them immediately, or almost all of them, raised their hands. And you can just tell that they're taking this very seriously. The other thing I've been watching in the courtroom is Trump, and his demeanor is much more subdued than in other cases. During E. Jean Carroll and the civil fraud trial, he was often unruly in court, but this time he's often sitting with his eyes closed. A couple times we think we've seen him napping. When the prosecution was presenting opening statements today, he really was just sitting there, his arms crossed, his eyes were closed. When the Stormy Daniels story came up, he sort of came to attention. And when his lawyer went up, and David Pecker did, he also came to attention. He was even trying to, it looked like, make eye contact with David Pecker.
And Katrina, the lawyers for both sides tried to develop a personal rapport with the jury. Was that on display today? And did it have any particular, did they display themselves in any particular way as they try to develop this relationship with the jurors?
They're really trying to tell this story in a way that the jurors can understand, because there's a lot of legal complexities to this case. But when the prosecution was presenting the case, instead of just focusing on these business records, they were telling the story of the larger conspiracy at play here. They said that Trump, Michael Cohen, and David Pecker were part of this scheme to interfere with the 2016 presidential election that didn't just involve this catch and kill scheme where they bought stories from Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal and Dino Sajudin, the former Trump doorman, but also tried to put out negative stories about Trump's opponents. And on the defense's side, they really just tried to minimize the case and say, as you said before, that these are just 34 pieces of paper. NDAs are standard. None of this is a crime.
Katrina Kaufman, thank you. And for more, CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman joins me now. Rikki, your takeaway, you've done this from the prosecutor and from the defense attorneys in those opening statements.
I can read what they said. I was not in the courtroom to see them. So the only distinction between two really excellent opening statements in terms of what was said was who had the better delivery. And the better delivery means that as I look at you, John Dickerson, in the eye, and that I know you and I are communicating, you must do that as a lawyer, and somehow you've got to do it with 18 people, because never forget that the alternates could become jurors. Both lawyers had excellent themes. And what you want out of a theme in an opening statement is what I call a nugget. And the nugget is, just as Katrina said, for the prosecutor, forget about calling this about business records, falsification of business records, which is mumbo jumbo to so many people. It's using the big thing. that this is a conspiracy and a cover-up. They made the case so much bigger than it seemed to be.
Only one more question for you, Rikki, because we're running short on time. Something Trump's lawyer said that struck me. He said, I have a spoiler alert. There's nothing wrong with trying to influence an election. It's called democracy. Why is that not like somebody who's caught cheating saying there's nothing wrong with trying to do well on a test? It's called being a good student.
Well, obviously, we know that cheating on a test is definitely wrong. However, I have to assume that what Todd Blanche, as Trump's defense lawyer, was attempting to do was to say, we all talk, we all try to persuade, we spin. We want the American public in democracy to hear a change of ideas that are persuasive and expressive. Some jurors may have liked that, others may not have.
Rikki Klieman, thank you. We're going to go through a lot of this case with you. We're very grateful you're here. Thanks, Rikki.
Thanks, John.